Hey everyone, it's Todd Espeland here from the Fort Wayne Youth Theater. Welcome to Youth Theater Thursday. And this Youth Theater Thursday is going to be all about set design. So, set design. What is set design? What happens in set design? So, it's the set designer's job to create all the physical surroundings that the action of a play is going to take place in. So all of the overall look of the set, how the style of it that it's been done in, and all of this is going to give the audience information to the director and the designer's concept for the overall production. So colors that are used, the way the space is either big or small, all of those things go into what a set designer does. The set designer also does a couple of really important things. The set designer creates mood and atmosphere, okay? So if, let's say we're doing a really spooky play, something that takes place around Halloween, maybe an Edgar Allan Poe story, maybe the set, the atmosphere of it shouldn't be with bright colors that you'd see around Easter time and pastel pinks and blues and reds. Maybe it needs to be dark. Maybe the set designer really needs to put some time into maybe dark burgundies instead of a pastel red. Maybe they should use more grays. Maybe the set designer should make the space a little bit more compact for that spooky play, because that compact space is how we feel. Imagine when you're at night and you're laying in bed and you're worried about monsters, and it feels like the whole room is closing in on you. So that's what the set designer does. They create mood and atmosphere. They give clues to the specific time and place of the action. Now today, we're going to have you guys in a little bit work on your very own scene from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, all right? And the set designer has to give clues to differentiate what's happening for the audience from the 1940s, when the kids discover the wardrobe in the house that they're in northern England, and from the magical world of Narnia. So the set designer has to use make a wardrobe or use props in the room where the wardrobe is, so that it's very clear that it's the 1940s. It's not 2020, so there wouldn't be a computer in there. There would probably maybe an old-fashioned wardrobe. You need the old-fashioned wardrobe. And a wardrobe, in case you don't know, is when they didn't build closets in houses, they had these big cabinets, so you'd open the doors and you'd hang all your clothes in there. So you want an old-fashioned wardrobe. Maybe the set designer is going to design the walls in such a way with maybe old wallpaper that's peeling and falling off, so that we know that the room is old, and we know from the look of it that that wallpaper is somehow from the 40s. They might even include all kinds of objects in there, like an old-looking tricycle maybe, or some old-looking toys, or an old-looking toy box. All of those things in there to communicate it to the 1940s. When it's Narnia, we have to go in a completely different direction to show the magical world of Narnia all covered in snow. So they give clues to the specific time and place of where the play is taking place. And then the set designer has to offer creative possibilities for the director and the actors to move around on stage. How can we use the stage in such a way, in a creative way, so that we can do all kinds of interesting looking pictures and create all kinds of interesting looking scenes with people? All right? So that's what the set designer does. Now, the set designers get to work in some really wonderful ways, because they get to use different kinds of theaters. So if you think of a theater like the canvas that an artist paints with, or like the clay that a sculptor sculpts with, all right? That's actually, I think the easel, the painter canvas, is a little better because it's blank and then we get to create on it. So there's different kinds of theaters that they can work in. The first kind of theater, which is the most famous kind of theater that a lot of people are aware of, is called a proscenium arch theater. Right? Proscenium arch. And a proscenium arch, it has that classic picture frame. The audience sits on this side and the stage is over here, and there's basically like a rectangle right there. All right? The big stage at Arch United is a proscenium arch theater. The audience is on one side, the stage is on the other, and the action happens away from the audience or upstage of the proscenium arch, which is that picture frame. All right. There's a stage called a thrust stage. The most famous thrust stage in North America is in Stratford, Canada at the Stratford Festival. It's a beautiful thrust stage. And this thrust stage is that picture frame, okay? And action can happen upstage of the picture frame, but then there's also a stage that comes out. And the audience surrounds that stage on 3 sides. All right, so it thrusts out from the proscenium arch, which is why they call it a thrust. And the audiences can sit on 3 different sides. Right? The last kind of theater is called a black box, all right, or a configurable space theater. At Arts United, the Arts Lab Theater in the Hour Center is a black box. You can make the seating any way you want. So you can have seating, you could seat with a thrust, you could have the stage with audiences on all 3 sides, okay? You could also do something called in the round, where the audience is sitting all around and the stage is in the middle. Okay, so the audience is on 360 degrees, all sides, and the action, the stage place, is in the middle. And the last stage is one that we have started using a lot here at Fort Wayne Youth Theater, and that's called Alley. If you saw Treasure Island, you saw Alley staging. If you saw Helen Keller, you saw Alley staging. And what that basically is imagine that this piece of paper is the stage, and there's audiences on one side and audience on the other. And the middle of that makes an alley, like an alley between 2 buildings, okay? Except this is an alley between 2 sets of audience. The audience sits on both sides and they watch the action in the middle. It's kind of like a thrust. It's kind of in the round. It just gives you a little bit more space to do creative staging and a little bit more space for the set designer to create opportunities for creative staging. All right? So, set designer, what do? The set designer creates mood, atmosphere. They decide how the whole stage is going to look. They want to communicate the director's and the designer's vision for the play through how they set up all the furniture, how they set up platforms. They create mood and atmosphere. They give clues to specific time and place of action, and they offer creative possibilities for the actors and the directors to have interesting staging all the way around. All right? Now, the designer has specific tools that they use to design their set. And by tools, I don't mean building it. The designer isn't always worried about how we're going to build the set. The designer comes up with how the set's going to look and what they want to do, and so on the stage. So they work, they're not working with hammers and nails, although they may end up building things. In this case, we're talking about the imaginative, conceptual side of set design. And the designer has several tools. Some of those tools are a rough sketch of the set. So what happens is the designer will sketch out on a piece of paper, really rough, it's not perfect, what they want their set to look like. And they will show where entrances and exits can happen for the actors, and it's a way to show it to the director and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking, what do you think? Before they go on to the next phase. Okay. When they get to the next, part of that rough sketch too is they may include colors. They'll do what's called a color palette, where they just show the various colors they want to use. The next part is a floor plan, okay? So the floor plan is done to scale, which means if we measured it with a scale ruler, it would be like, let's say a 1/4 inch equals 1 foot, okay? So they'll show a scale model, a drawing of what the set is, and it's usually from up above. And so you will see where the walls are and the furniture is, and that is a technical way to help the director visualize what's happening. The last thing that they'll do, which is what we're going to be working on today, is they will do a model of the set. So they will do a kind of a rough model. Sometimes it will have the colors that they want on it. Sometimes it won't. Sometimes they'll just do it in white because they may still be playing with colors. But they will do a model so the director can see it in 3 dimensions and they can visualize what's happening. So they have 3 tools. They have a rough sketch, they have floor plans, and they have a model. And they use those to communicate what's in their head and what they're thinking of doing to the directors. So now that we know all the nuts and bolts of what set design is, we know about what kind of theaters we can use, we know about what the set designer's job is, creating mood and atmosphere, giving clues to specific places that we're in, specific times that we are working in. The next thing is how do we get inspired about what we want to put on stage, what the kind of things we're going to create to have on stage. That inspiration is going to come from your script. It's going to come directly from your script. So what you'll do is the set designer will read the script, and you will look for all of the clues that you need for your set design. So for instance, in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, you would read it and you would know that you need to have a wardrobe. That is a specific prop that you need, or a set piece that you need. You know that you're going to need a lamppost where they meet Mr. Tumnus. So those are things you're going to have to think about. You know that there's going to be a scene that takes place in a room that nobody really goes into that has a wardrobe in it. You need to set the time period. So the time period is while children in England are hiding up north to get away from the bombing of London. So you know it's during World War II, and you know you're going to have to make all of your set pieces and props look like they come from that period. The other thing you're going to have to do is start thinking of mood. So another specific place that we have is Narnia. We know that Narnia is a magical world. We know that the new ruler is the White Witch, so she's made everything covered in snow. So we know things have to look like they're snowy. And we know that she's not a nice person. We know that she's a bad guy. So that's going to help us figure out what kind of mood we want. We know it's a bad guy who has made everything snowy for eternal winter, so you have to figure out what kind of mood that's going to be. Now, the way we do that is you need to just start describing the kind of mood that you want your audiences to experience. So, the set design we're going to do is for Narnia in Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So start thinking specifically about what kind of mood do you want that to be. Now for me, because she's a bad guy, because it's eternal winter, I want it to look like a magical snowy landscape, because I don't want it to look like normal, the normal world with snow around. It's a different place. It's a magical place. So I want it to be a magical snowy landscape that is ominous. And ominous means dangerous. Magical snowy landscape, that's ominous. And you will use those inspiration words to help you come up with and create an image board. And an image board are images that you can look up online that you feel like capture the mood that you want. It doesn't mean we're going to copy them. We're not copying them exactly. It means we're using them as inspiration for the mood you want. All right, and so that's the next step, the next step of inspiration. So what we're going to do is here are some of my images for the mood for Narnia, and my inspiration for how I feel like it should look. I want the trees. I want to look dark against the white landscape, because for me that looks spooky. The pictures I picked have no people in them, because for me that makes it ominous and dangerous when I can't find a person in there that I can identify with. The pictures that I've selected also have mist in them, because mist obscures the things you're looking at, and when you can't see far, for me that is ominous and dangerous. So you want to have inspiration for your set design, and that inspiration comes from the specific clues that you've found in the script and for how you want the audience to feel. And my inspiration for Narnia is a magical snowy landscape that's ominous or dangerous. Now yours can be absolutely bright and happy and sunny and shiny if you want it. That's fine. It's up to you as the artist. But use those words to find images for your image board that are then going to inspire you for your set design. All right, so I'm just going to do, the next thing you do is, it would be like a rough sketch. We talked about the rough sketch. And what I want for I'm just drawing out my rough sketch here. I'm drawing my proscenium arch. It's hard to see. There we go. There's my little proscenium arch. And in the back, what I want is, I want a mountain range. I think I want something that's big and ominous looking, that we could maybe put the White Witch on top of. All right, and I want to have some kind of a way that maybe she could walk down. All right, Alright, so here we go. Here's, I know that looks weird, so this red line is the base of my stage. Alright, and see this line right here, that's the mountain range, and this is the space I want her to walk down. Alright, and then in the background, I want to have some dark trees. Alright, I know this is super rough. Alright, you can kind of see the dark trees in the background. Alright, this is a super rough sketch. Super rough sketch. This is how we talk to the director. I'd say the director, we've got these stairs that you can come down, and maybe we can have people hide underneath them, and then there's the mountain range, and in the background in the distance we have the dark trees. That would be my rough sketch. That's the sketch I'm going to use to come up with my 3D design for my proscenium arch set for The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So next, we're going to move on to making a proscenium arch out of a box and getting started with your set design, your 3D model for Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Narnia.